Hi, Commissioner. Yes. Chair Roy Ball,
Here.
Commissioner Hanson, Commissioner Hanson,
Present.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Here.
Commissioner Garcia,
It doesn't appear as though he's entered the meeting just yet.
Chair, how would you like to document this for now?
Let's just, I'm pretty sure he's going to jump on later, so we'll just go ahead and put him that he's going to be late.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hughes,
It actually, I'm sorry, it actually looks like he's signing on right now.
Oh, okay, great.
And Commissioner Hughes is here.
thank you. Commissioner Garcia, okay, Commissioner Garcia, Chair Roy Ball, I'll go with your last comment.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, was that Commissioner Garcia? Okay. Thank you. I'll go with your last comment, Chair Roy Ball.
Okay.
Commissioner Garcia has signed on.
Okay, let the record show that Commissioner Garcia is present. So we have all commissioners in attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, so next we're going to go on to the pledge of allegiance that I will lead, the state pledge that I will lead as well. And then we'll go on to the moment of reflection. And from the Growth Management Department, the GIS section, we have Mr. Chris Viasa. Okay, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Okay, and if we could have our moment of reflection from Chris Biasa.
Let us take a moment to focus on the work ahead of us today, being ever mindful of our decisions and in the best interest of our community. We take a moment of silence. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah, I want to just take a moment of silence for also a few people who have passed away in our community. One, I just heard that Forrest Finn has passed away shortly. He was a prominent gallery owner and controversial figure in the community of Santa Fe and did many things. Then I also want to mention Daniel Bud Kelly Jr., who is from a very prominent New Mexico family. If many of us have driven past the building with Bill Gross Kelly in the rail yard, that was his parent, Margaret Gross, and Daniel Kelly started that building, and Bud Kelly was 99, and on March 22nd, he will be remembered, and I will be bringing forth a proclamation for his 100th birthday celebration, but he was very involved in the community of Santa Fe with the opera and many other things, plus he had Kelly's Insurance for many years, and two of his sons are both friends and acquaintances of mine who I have known for many years. So I just wanted to remember both of these people. I'm sure there'll be more to be said about Forrest Fenn as the weeks and the days go on of his passing. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Did we have any other recognitions from any other commissioners? Okay, hearing none. If we could have a moment of silence. Thank you, Mr. Vyasa, and thank you for recognizing those individuals, Commissioner Hanson. Okay, so next we're going to move on to item number F. And this is the approval of the agenda. Is there any changes or amendments? I'm going to go to Manager Miller.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, there were a couple of changes that were posted on Friday, September 4th at 4:55 p.m. Those amendments to the agenda are item 2A, the appointments and reappointments, the item caption and the packet material was updated. Item 2B, that's also under appointments, and that item was added. Under items 4, miscellaneous action items, we updated the caption for item 4A. For item 4B, that item was added. That's an amendment to an agreement. And item 4C, a resolution for the board's consideration on the Edgewood Equestrian Center, also was added. And then under matters from the county manager, item 6B, an update on the CARES Act was added, and also 6C, an update on settlement agreements on county maintained roads. And then item 9, matters from the county attorney, executive session. That item has been deleted. We have no need for an executive session today. And those are all of the changes to the agenda.
Okay, thanks, Manager Miller. Are there any other amendments or requests of changes to this agenda? And if there's
Mr.
not,
Chair,
go ahead, Manager Miller. Commissioner Hanson.
I would like to move to approve the agenda with changes.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Hanson. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, and a second from Commissioner Hughes. I'm going to go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Hanson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
and a yes from Commissioner Roybal. So the agenda is approved unanimously with the changes that were explained by Manager Miller. So next we're going to go on to item number G, and this is the approval of the August 11th, 2020 Board of County Commissioners regular meeting minutes. I think we're getting some feedback. I don't know if we can.
Okay, try it now.
Okay, so we are on item G. What's the pleasure of the board?
We're still getting feedback, Tessa Joe. Somebody needs to mute themselves, but I don't know who it is.
Commissioner Hamilton, can you try muting yourself? It might be your computer.
It's not. I've been muted until the chair just asked what the pleasure of the board was, and I unmuted then.
Sorry.
So, are we on the minutes, or are we on we approved the agenda, right? Mr. Chair?
Okay, Commissioner Hanson, we're on item number G, and this is the approval of the August 11th, 2020 Board of County Commissioner regular meetings. I'm going to go to you, Commissioner Hanson.
Yeah, so I have some changes which I will get to the stenographer this week.
Thank you,
And,
Commissioner Hanson. Is
So with that,
official?
I move to approve the August 11th minutes with changes.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a second from Commissioner Hughes and a motion from Commissioner Hanson with changes. I'm going to go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Hanson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
and a yes from Commissioner Roybal. So our approval of the August 11th Board of County Commissioner meeting minutes has been approved unanimously. Next, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, and this is appointments and reappointments. I'm going to go on to T2A, and this is appointments and reappointments to the Transportation Advisory Committee, TAC, or for districts 1, 2, and 4, and an at-large member. From Growth Management, we have Brett Clavio.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. The item before you is to consider the appointment and reappointment to the Transportation Advisory Committee for Districts 1, 2, 4, and at-large membership. In the memo, you'll see that there are 4 members who currently want to be reappointed, and I think they're all very good members. As well, we have 2 new candidates, one from District 1 and one from District 2. I met both of them and feel that they're also very fine candidates. So I recommend appointing and reappointing all of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clavio. So I would agree. I think that there is some good representation. And for District 1, I don't know all of the appointees, but I would be happy to make a motion to approve the members.
A second.
So we have a motion, Commissioner Roybal, a second from Commissioner Hamilton. I'm going to go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson.
Yes, and I would just like to congratulate Brent Clavio as becoming the chair of the technical working group for the MPO, and I thank him for his service. And with that, yes, and thank you for your work on these appointments.
Great. Yes from Commissioner Roybal as well, and I'd like to echo those sentiments. Thank you for the great work, Mr. Clavio.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we have that approved. We're going to go on to our next appointments and reappointments, and this is item number 2B. And this is the appointment of Commissioner Hughes to the North Central Regional Transit District, or the NCRTD, Board of Directors, Santa Fe Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO, Board, Santa Fe Solid Waste Management Authority, that's the SWAMA Board, and the alternate to the North Central New Mexico Economic Development District Board for the remainder of 2020. And from the County Manager's Office, we have Ms. Tessa Jo Mascareñas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you all are aware, Commissioner Moreno resigned as County Commissioner effective on August 31st. And after being appointed by Governor Lujan Grisham to the vacant District 5 seat, Commissioner Hank Hughes was sworn in on September 1st at 10 a.m. Annually, the BCC appoints commissioners to various intergovernmental boards and committees on an annual basis for the purpose of representing Santa Fe County. the staff recommendation is that we appoint Commissioner Hughes to what were Commissioner Moreno's committees for the remainder of the calendar year. And then a decision can be remade at the beginning of next year for those appointments.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mascareñas. I do agree with what's being proposed, but I'll go to other commissioners. Commissioner, or if somebody wants to make a motion, that's fine as well.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Hanson.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Commissioner Hughes and welcome to the board, Commissioner, to the appointed boards that were mentioned by the chair and by
Second?
Commissioner Roybal. Mr. Chair?
Yes, I'm trouble. So we have a motion. Sorry, I had to mute for just a moment, but so you made a motion, Commissioner Hanson?
I did, and Commissioner Hamilton seconded.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second from Commissioner Hanson and Hamilton to approve what staff is recommending, and I too think it's a great idea to go ahead and keep Commissioner Hughes on these boards that Commissioner Moreno sat on. So we have a motion and a second. Under discussion, does anybody have anything under discussion? Okay.
Just congratulations.
Okay. Go ahead.
And I think Commissioner Hughes would like to say something.
Okay, Commissioner Hanson, thank you. And I actually wanted to say the same thing. Welcome to the board, and we're glad to see you start running. So did you have any comments, Commissioner Hughes?
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that I think this is a good idea, a good introduction to the county, and I look forward to serving on these boards and committees, as well as perhaps attending a few others so that I can learn the full scope of what the county's involved in. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Hughes. So we do have a motion and a second. I'm going to go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Hanson?
Yes.
Commissioner
Congratulations
Garcia?
and welcome.
Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Garcia, are you there? Okay, a yes from Commissioner Roybal. Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Hughes?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia? Okay, we'll touch base with Commissioner Garcia. I'm sure he'll vote in the affirmative, but it does look like Commissioner Garcia, are you back on?
It looks like
triangle icon in the left-hand side of his, does that mean he's having problems with connection?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's typically what it means, that he's having internet connectivity issues.
Okay, we'll touch base with him when he gets back on, and I'm sure he'll vote in the affirmative, but we'll go ahead and move on to our next agenda item. And
he's on there now. I see him now. Can we hear you, Commissioner Garcia?
Okay, Commissioner Garcia, did you want to vote in the affirmative to put Commissioner Hughes on the former boards that Commissioner Moreno sat on?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a unanimous decision. Congratulations, Commissioner Hughes. We're going to move on to our next agenda item, and this is the consent agenda. Do we have any items that need to be pulled for further explanation, or what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Hanson?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Hanson.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Hamilton. I'm going to go to a roll call vote, or if there's anything under discussion, do any commissioners have anything under discussion on this item?
I do not.
Okay, hearing none, we're going to go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Hansen, Commissioner Hansen.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and a yes from Commissioner Roybal. So this item, the consent agenda, is approved and passes unanimously.
Chair,
Yes.
Chair Roy Ball, for the record, the resolution you just passed within the consent agenda is 2020-60, 60. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we have our resolution number 2020-60. Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 4, and this is under miscellaneous action items. 4A is a request approval of an order imposing tax rates on the net taxable value of property allocated to the appropriate governmental units within Santa Fe County for the 2020 tax year. And from the Finance Division, we have our Director, Ms. Yvonne Herrera.
Good afternoon, Chair Roybal, Commissioners. I'm here before you to request the board issue a written order setting the Santa Fe County property tax rates for the 2020 tax year. Section 73833 of the New Mexico statutes requires that by September 1st of each year, the Secretary of the Department of Finance Administration issues a written order to set the property tax mill rates for each of the governmental entities units within the 33 counties in New Mexico. And then section 73834 requires that within 5 days of receipt of that DFA order that the board issue its written order acknowledging receipt of the calculated mill rates and authorizes the delivery of the certificate of property tax rates to the county assessor. The Santa Fe County Certificate of Property Tax Rates and Mills is presented as Exhibit A. Can we have Exhibit A brought up, if possible? The Exhibit A just breaks out the different municipalities within Santa Fe County, along with the 2 special districts, which is the Edgewood Soil and Water Conservation District and the El Dorado Area Water and Sanitation District. In addition to the certificate, we also present a comparison of the 2019 tax rate versus the proposed 2020 tax rate, and the impact to the taxpayer depending on where they're located at within the county. Daniel, can you possibly bring up the certificate property tax rates and mills, the 3rd attachment? Yeah, thank you. I want to make a note of, if you'll go to the 2nd page. Per the New Mexico Administrative Code, the county is required to verify the rates that DFA provided, and I wanted to make sure that the commission knows that what you see before you is actually revised. Once the certificate was received, Finance went ahead and recalculated the totals and whatnot and found several footing errors and presentation errors. And DFA made corrections to that and provided this revised schedule. Can you, by chance, pull up that last attachment, which is the comparison? Thank you. And this is the comparison that we did to show the potential impact to a taxpayer within the county, depending on where they're located at. As you can see, most taxpayers will either see no change or a small decrease in their potential property taxes. And there's only a handful of locations that actually will generate an increase in tax. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Herrera. Do we have any questions from the board? I'm going to go to Commissioner Hansen.
No, just thank you, Yvonne, for being so diligent and recalculating all of these findings and having them corrected. I appreciate your due diligence, and I appreciate you as the finance director, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Commissioner Garcia?
No, I don't, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Hamilton?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Hughes?
Oh, just one quick question. I wondered why the Espanola area had a slight increase in the property tax rate.
Commissioner Hughes, are you, the $58.70, is that what you're referring to?
Well, I'm looking at the chart that's on the screen now, and there's a one that's $1.10 and one that's $43.90 in the very far right column.
Okay, so I see where they have 57.99 or 5.799 for last year, and it's 5.6980 for this year. That's the only one that I see is a decrease. I don't see the increase, unless I'm looking at the wrong ones here. I see a 5.799 for last year and a 5.6980. Yeah,
I believe it's an Espanola municipal operation. Espanola city residents, is that what you're speaking about, Commissioner Hughes?
Yes. Yes, and it does look like everything else is a slight decrease, and that one was a slight increase.
It's at the bottom of the first page.
First page, yes.
Yeah, they've highlighted it now.
Gotcha.
Commissioner Hughes, Chair Roybal, Commissioner Hughes, I would have to discuss that with DFA to find out what it is that generated that increase on that specific rate, and I can get back with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hughes, it's likely that they imposed one of their operating mills, which they can do by ordinance, just by the looks of it.
Okay, that's what I was expecting, something like that. I was just curious if there was a little more information, but that was the only question I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Okay, so I'm going to go on to Commissioner Garcia. Did you have any questions, sir? Commissioner Garcia?
No, I don't, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. So if there's not any other comments or questions from the commission, what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion for approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
From Commissioner Garcia and a second from Commissioner Hamilton. Under
Hanson.
discussion, or Hanson, under discussion? Okay, so there wasn't anything else under discussion, so I'm going to go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Hanson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes?
Yes.
And a yes from Commissioner Roybal. So this item passes unanimously. So we're going to go on to item number 4B. And this is a request approval of amendment number 3 to agreement number 2019-0053-CSD/CW between Santa Fe County and the Fire Stick Studio to design and implement public awareness campaign regarding COVID-19, increasing the amount of the compensation by $75,000 for a total contract sum of $402,530. Inclusive of New Mexico GRT. The second is the authorization for the county manager to sign the amendment number 3 and the purchase order. And from the purchasing division, we have Mr. Bill Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon to present this amendment. This, of course, is to, we have a contract with Fire Stick Studio to develop public awareness campaign ads throughout the county. We asked for a proposal from them to provide one for to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in certain areas. This amendment allows that scope of work and increases the compensation. We are asking for board approval today. With that, Rachel, Director O'Connor is also listed as presenting, and I would, offer the chair and the commissioners, I would defer to Ms. O'Connor to present anything or make any statement to this request. Other than that, Mr. Chair, I stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Ms. O'Connor, did you have any additional comments?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that Mr. Taylor summarized the overall intent, which is to increase public awareness and mitigate the spread of COVID in Santa Fe County areas. And I would welcome any questions.
Thank you, Director O'Connor. I'm going to go down the list through our commissioners. Commissioner Hanson, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I just want to thank the Community Service Department, Rachel O'Connor, and everyone for working on this important issue. Public awareness in this time of COVID, I think, is incredibly, incredibly important. I hear stories all the time about people not having their temperature taken, wearing their masks improperly, not wearing their masks and thinking that it's okay. So I think everything that we can do to help people become more aware of wearing a mask, social distance, washing your hands. I can't tell you how many times whenever I hear washing your hands that I think about my mother, who constantly complained, you didn't wash your hands after you came in from the store. You didn't. And, I know that she lived through the 1919 or 1918 pandemic, Spanish flu pandemic. And so she was always really concerned about people washing their hands. And so I think that all of these things are so important during this time of the pandemic. So I want to thank you and Fire Stick and everybody for working hard to get all this information out to our community, because it's so important. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Commissioner Hamilton?
Thank you. It makes sense to certainly to target recognized problem areas and to target Spanish speaking. Rachel, can you say a little bit, though? I assume that there's going to be a general component of this to the whole county. I just have this vision of that has some importance as well, just so that we don't start spreading the problem from one area to the other to the other.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Hamilton, absolutely, we agree. And we're going to be working with Fire Stick. There will be some targeted materials and some materials that are specific to, that are applicable to the whole county. And so, some of it will be specific to, the Spanish language. Other aspects of it will be specific to some of the more rural areas, like Edgewood. So
Fabulous.
we are hoping to have some mini campaigns within the overall larger campaign.
That sounds great. It's good to hear you thinking about tailoring things according to the different areas. Really appreciate that this is being done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Great question. That was great information to get from our director. I appreciate that. Commissioner Garcia,
No questions, sir.
Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to comment that I think this is very important, and I thank the staff for bringing this forward, and Ms. O'Connor. I also think that, if we come up with other creative ideas, we should bring those forward as well. This is life and death for some people. Even though I think we've sort of gotten used to the pandemic, it really is, a pretty terrible situation that we're all living through. I know that Santa Fe for a while was not doing as well as the rest of the state. It seems in the last couple of days that has come down, but anything we can do to get the spread rate down, we should do. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. I would just like to, ditto the sentiments from my fellow county commissioners. As always, we really appreciate the hard work of our public safety director and the leadership that we have there. So once again, thank you, Ms. O'Connor. We're going to go ahead. We do have, I'm not sure if I've heard a motion yet. I don't
Chair
believe I have.
Roybal,
Yes.
for the record, I would like to state that item 4B is not in the clerk's packet, the original document. So I would just want to make that statement because I don't want to have a void in the record. So the original is not in my packet right now. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this is Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Taylor, go ahead, sir.
I can provide the clerk's office with the original, but the amendment is written for Catherine Miller, the county manager's signature. Just to clarify.
Thank you for clarifying that. And yes, make sure that we do get that to our county clerk. I appreciate you doing your due diligence and letting us know that you didn't have that, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome and thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
So we have a motion and a second. Or go ahead, Commissioner Hanson.
I don't know if we have a motion. I was going to make a motion to approve amendment number 3 to the agreement with between Santa Fe County and Fire Stick Studios to design and implement public awareness campaign regarding COVID-19.
Second. You're correct. We don't have a motion, and we do have a second from Commissioner Garcia. I'm going to go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes?
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson?
Yes.
Commissioner, and a yes from Commissioner Roybal. Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Okay, so this item passes unanimously. Thank you, commissioners. We're going to go on to item number 4C, and this is a resolution adopting policies and procedures and a free schedule for use of the Santa Fe County Edgewood Equestrian Center, or Horse Center, we'll say, Community Service Department. We have Ms. Anawar.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. In board docs, you have some policies and procedures as well as a lease agreement and a proposed fee schedule that pertains to the Edgewood Equestrian Arena. It is an outdoor arena that is also equipped with restrooms and a walking trail that is also used for riding horses. I do have to point out one thing, and that's on the temporary use lease agreement. The fee schedule that you will see is actually incorrect. That's the fee schedule for Stanley. So it will be changed to match the draft fee schedule that is a separate document. So the policies and procedures would be put in place to open the arena portion of the Edgewood Equestrian Center. Right now, the trails have been open for some time. The fees that are on the fee schedule do not apply to the trails, but would apply for open riding. The fees that are being proposed would be open riding in the arena for $250 a horse for no more than 5 horses at a time. Or we would also offer a 30-day punch pass in the amount of $25 if someone chose to use the facility for private riding just for themselves for a half day, we are looking at $20, a full day at $40. Riding with livestock for a half day would be $75. Riding with livestock for a full day would be $125. A commercial event would be $125. A private event for a half day would be $50. A private event for a full day would be $100. A nonprofit rate for a half day would be $50. A nonprofit rate for a full day event would be $100. And the for-profit revenue generating event would be $200. And then we have corresponding cleaning and damage deposits that go along with that. The policies address issues such as that they would need to sign a release of liability form for open riding. Again, this does not apply to the trails. If they're going to be riding or walking on the trails, it would be similar to our other open space trails where that's basically on their own. But the liability waiver would be for things such as a private riding or an open riding. For any large events, they would have to get liability insurance, which is similar to what we do at the county fairgrounds, Stanley, and our community centers. It also has things just like that dogs must be on leashes. There's no alcohol or smoking permitted. No more than 5 horses in the arena at a time. And no reckless riding, adhering to posted hours. And that if anyone violates these rules, they could be asked to leave. So with that, I stand for any questions that you may have at this time.
Thank you, Ms. War. I think I'm going to go ahead and go to any other commissioners that may have questions in regards to this equestrian facility. Commissioner Garcia.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to thank the staff, Catherine Miller and her staff, for bringing this forward in a fast manner. And thank you for what you guys do for the county. And this is great. This is awesome. This is something that, like PJ and I went out there about 2 or 3 months ago and had a meeting with about 65 people out there. And the community out there in Edgewood is eager to cut the weeds. They're willing to help out, rake, whatever else. And I appreciate Manager Miller as well as her staff for bringing this forward. And this is great. This is a great thing to happen in the southern part of the county. So with that, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
We have a motion from Commissioner Garcia, and I'll second that motion. And I also just want to thank Ms. War for bringing this forward and for all their due diligence and working with the people of Edgewood on this accomplishment. So thank you very much. So we have a motion and a second. I'm going to go to Commissioner Garcia.
Mr. Chair, yes. And it just, maybe some of us commissioners can go out there sometime soon after this COVID stuff is out, because it's a beautiful arena, beautiful place, and right next to I-40, which is part of Santa Fe County, and we all are policy makers for the entire county, but beautiful spot. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia, and I think that's a great idea. Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes. And if we go out there, are you bringing the horses? Just joking.
So Mr. Chair, really quick, she talked about reckless riding. I don't know what this riding is, but is that bronc riding or what kind of riding is that? But yes, we will not have reckless riding whenever we go down there.
Okay, so thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Commissioner Hanson?
Yes, and I look forward to going down there and having a horse ride.
Okay, Commissioner Hughes?
Yes, and I also like horse riding, so this sounds like fun.
And a yes from Commissioner Roybal. And okay, well, it sounds like we've got a unanimous decision to approve this and also get out there and have some take some horses out for rides. Let's see how we sharpen our horseman skills up.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just wanted to point out too, this is our only facility like this, and so this cyclone center is a bit more complex. It's of a facility, so this is going to be a new way of trying to operate this facility. Previously, the town of Edgewood has managed the operations of the facility, but Community Services is working with a trustee to do it. We may have some bumps in the road. We may have to come back for some policy changes if some of these don't work that well for the type of facility that it is. But Commissioner Garcia is right. It's a very nice facility, and we want to make it accessible to the residents to use and make sure that we have that we just have some release of liability and we have some policies regarding the use of the facility. So hopefully this we'll get it right the first time, but if not, we'll bring them back for adjustments if we find that what we put together doesn't work quite right for that facility.
Thank you, Manager Miller. I think this is a great starting point. So thank you very much. And who knows, maybe we'll get it right out of the chute, right? Okay.
Chair Roy Ball,
Yes, Madam Clerk?
I have a question for Ms. War.
Okay. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Ms. War, in my clerk packet is the document that I have, the actual one, or will you be providing us the updated or the correct fee schedule?
Sorry. Mr. Chair, Madam Clerk, what was submitted to you is it's the correct fee schedule, but the lease agreement is incorrect. The fee schedule that is located on the lease agreement is incorrect. We can get you the correct version.
Yes.
My understand is Rachel Brown has the Brown packet.
Okay. If we could have the correct one for the record, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll get that too. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks again, Ms. Warren. Thanks again for bringing that up, Madam Clerk. And it has passed unanimously. Can we have the resolution number for this one, Madam Clerk?
Chair Roy Ball, for the record, the resolution you just passed is 2020-61.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, so next we're coming up to item number 5, and this is matters of public concern.
Chair,
yes,
Chair,
go ahead.
my apologies. I just have the actual document, Ms. War. I just want to make a statement that I do have it now.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you for that update, Madam Clerk. Okay, so we're moving on to our next item, and this is item number 5, and this is matters of public concern. Ms. Mascareñas, has anybody signed up to address the county commission?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have one person who has signed up another who has signed up for the public hearing for the ICIP.
Okay, we're getting some feedback, so I couldn't quite get that.
Sorry, Sam, I'm just going to mute you real quick. We have one person for public comment and one person for the public hearing during ICIP. So we have Sam Chavez from AFSCME who would like to speak under public comment.
Okay, Mr. Chavez, go ahead. Mr. Chavez, go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Sam Chavez, AFSCME Council 18. I represent the employees from the blue collar and employees at the detention center. I've tried to attend a few of them. Some I've had difficulties getting on. The other ones, there's been issues with, I guess, the internet or something and getting cut off during the meeting. But concern of the employees is, one is I can't read my writing. Give me 1 second. Elected officials, that they're allowed to not follow rules per the contract and per HR handbook because they are elected officials and they're not bound to them. Everybody is bound to them rules. I follow them rules when I represent Santa Fe County employees. When I'm on the job sites or wherever I am, I make sure that I follow the rules like everybody else has to. The other concern is right now they are changing job descriptions without notifying the union on them. And, that's something that per PLRB and per the contract, we have to sit down and negotiate all them. I just wanted you guys to be aware of some of the things that are going on within Santa Fe County that the employees, I don't want to say are angry, but they have concerns of them. So that's why I'm reaching out to you guys today. And also welcome Mr. Hughes to the commission. So if you have any questions, I'll answer any questions I can.
Mr. Chair, I believe your mic is muted.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Chavez. Is there any questions from the board? Well, typically under public concern, we don't you really go back and forth, but I'll see if there's any questions or comments from the commission. Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is Manager.
Go ahead, Manager Miller, but can everybody else mute, please?
I just wanted to let you and the board know that AFSCME did, through Sam Chavez, send a letter expressing some concerns to HR, and Sonia has reached out to set up a meeting with Mr. Chavez to go over their concerns.
Okay, thank you, Manager Miller. Tessa, was there anybody else from the public?
Also, can I say, I don't know how to put this out there because I don't want to get you guys in the middle of something that we got going on with through the grievance procedure, but about being able to resolve issues before we have to have a third party get involved and have to use taxpayers' dollars for it. If there's any way we can, for you guys, work, be able to enforce it a little bit more or expand on it a little bit more so that we don't have to use somebody and pay out thousands of dollars to resolve one of our issues. That's basically all I got. Thank you all.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Go ahead, Commissioner Garcia.
I know you don't like to go back and forth, but however, I did read the article in the paper yesterday or the day before, and I think I have the utmost respect for Manager Miller and her team, Sonia, as well as Greg, as into negotiating or talking with the union. So I respect that Manager Miller has said that our HR director will actually meet with the union or the representative of the union. So I have the ultimate faith as into our staff to meet with Mr. Chavez and his colleagues or his union. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia, and I believe Manager Miller did state that as well. So I'm glad to hear that we are working with the union and setting up these meetings. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Tessa, can we unmute just for a moment and see if there's anybody else from the public that would like to address the commission? Once again, I'm gonna open up the floor and see if there's anybody else from the public.
Well, they're gonna do it on the phone sitting up.
Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close item number 5 for public concern and move on to item number 6. And this are matters from the county manager. 6A is miscellaneous update on COVID-19. Manager Miller.
Mr. Chair, I think that the main thing that I want to make sure I update the board on is actually our is the CARES Act funding that we received. On August 7th, Santa Fe County submitted a comprehensive proposal to the state of New Mexico, and we requested approximately $15 million in funding, and we received on August 31st a notice that we would be allocated $14.3 million, which also included $3.8 million for small business grants. And some other things that were in there were about $965,000 for COVID-related expenses that we've already incurred from March through June, that we hope to seek the reimbursement for. About $2.5 million for funding for the Connect program to provide food, housing, and other necessary support for vulnerable residents. Also, $2.5 million for housing needs for people who've lost employment. $600,000 for payroll expenses, about $400,000 for IT equipment and broadband in our rural areas, and various other expenses for PPE and cleaning and staffing for COVID-related expenses. Some of the things that we're now in the process of doing, we already have, as you know, also the public information campaign was another one of the items. So things are already rolling out that we had applied for. We hope to have funding for Connect rolling out next, and then also the rental assistance as well as the business grants. We are going to do a couple of procurements for purposes of helping manage the grant funding. We need assistance in accepting and processing the business grant applications, and we're looking for a grants manager for that. So we have a few weeks of work to get out of the way, all of the mechanics, but then we hope to start pushing that money out the door and out into the community as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're still, as far as COVID-related updates, we still are doing our office hours by appointment at 100 Catron. We're in the process of moving into 102 Grant. We're having to do that with a COVID-safe moving process. So we're moving a few people at a time. As the building is finishing up, we're moving into the different areas in the building and hope to be completely in 102 Grant by the end of the third week in September. And then we'll continue in this building. We've predominantly been in Bochum building, but all the meetings that we've had with people have been by appointment. We will continue to do that in the in 102 Grant. We may start to open up how we manage 100 Catron, especially for the tax season and for voting. And we need to work with the treasurer's office and the clerk to make sure that we can handle a larger flow of people into the building. We're screening individuals as they come to the building for their appointments, and we want to make sure that we continue with safe practices as we transition into 102 grant as well, and as we transition into a heavy traffic season for 100 Katrin. Then one other update, I did want to mention that the fire marshals going to issue an order to allow for the burn permits. As you know, we suspended it, and on August 25th, and now want to reinstate the open burning within the unincorporated areas of Santa Fe County beginning this Thursday, September 10th. So the intent of the fire marshal's order suspending the burn permits was to help mitigate any harmful effects of uncontrolled fires during the driest weeks of this summer, and also the smoke from the active wildland fires and surrounding states are not negatively impacting us as much, although this morning surrounding states definitely had an effect on our air quality. But we do hope that residents will undertake their field maintenance and maintenance of defensible space around their homes and structures. So the fire marshal will be reinstating burn permits on this Thursday, September 10th. And that's all I have at the moment.
Thank you, Manager Miller. I had both of my mutes on, so couldn't figure out why you guys couldn't hear me. Okay, so do we have any questions for Manager Miller, Commissioner Hamilton?
And Mr. Chair, Rachel O'Connor may have some items to add on the CARES Act. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip.
Oh no,
I now see her.
That's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go to our Director, Ms. O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Actually, I think that the county manager did a great job of summarizing the funding that came in through the CARES Act. We are delighted to have the funding and looking forward to using it to serve our community collectively and individually, and help all of us get through this pandemic. I think it was a good proposal. I want to thank especially growth management and other departments who assisted in putting it together. And we're going to work together to, as the county manager stated, begin to roll out this funding to our partners and the people who need the help the most.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any questions from commissioners or comments. Commissioner Hamilton, did you have questions or comments?
Yeah, just a comment that, if you think about the list of what Manager Miller presented and Rachel O'Connor of what we applied for money for and got money to address, it is so many, essentially a spectrum of what are really essential needs for our community. It was just clearly so well thought out in a very short period of time. I'm so pleased to see, and I suspect that's a big part of why we got essentially everything we asked for. And that is such a boon to the county and our constituents. And I'm very grateful for the level of thought and competence that they put into that.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. I couldn't agree more. I'm really excited to see how we're going to, the different programs that we'll be able to use this $13.4 million. I think it's going to be great.
14 points. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go on to Commissioner Garcia. Do you have any comments or questions, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to also thank staff, Catherine and your team for applying for the grant for the state money, the federal money, and just want to let the general public know that this is something new for the county. As into, yes, we received some money and for businesses, housing. So something new, how we're going to have to deal with it, and it's another piece of work that we're going to have to take on. But once again, thank you for the for applying for grants. And like I said, because this is something new that the county is dealing with. How are we going to administrate it? How are we going to do it? We don't know. So just bear with us, and we will get it done, and we'll figure it out. And another thing is 102 Grant Avenue. We actually did a tour the other day. I did a tour. Well, we all did a tour. It was kind of interesting because that building, I grew up in that building for 30 years of my life. And it's kind of buying an old house and remodeling it. But excellent job for the entire staff and everybody that would participate in the remodel of that facility. Great job. I can hardly wait till we open it up until so we can actually have the general public go in there and say, wow, this is great. But Catherine, and you and your staff, thank you for what you do. It kind of always resonate to Dr. Garcia, the school board, Santa Fe County. We're in the forefront, and we're actually, you guys are doing a great job. And so thank you for what you do. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia, and great comments. I couldn't agree with you more. So I'm going to go to Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too like to thank the staff for putting together a great proposal and for coming forward. I know that other counties and communities around the state were not so on top of things to get the needs of their people met. I think it's good that we're doing this. I know from my work with the homeless agencies in Santa Fe that it's a big lift to try and take care of all these people all at once. It sort of points to the fact that we've let a lot of things slide in our society for a long time, letting people, go without housing, without adequate food for so long, and it's going to be a struggle, I think, to try and catch up. Hopefully, we can learn from that and not let things get quite so out of hand before the next pandemic or whatever comes next. But I do appreciate the staff doing a great job on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Commissioner Hanson?
Thank you. I just want to echo all of the things that my other commissioners have said. I think that it's great that we were able to get money for things that we had already spent money on for this project. I want to thank Rachel O'Connor for her hard work on this. I know it was a heavy lift, and great job. Thank you so much. And thank you, Catherine, and the entire team. And also, I'd like to say that as we are moving back into 102 Grant, the beautiful John Gamine building is going to be a very professional, and it is a well-designed, functional building for county staff to operate. And I think everyone will feel really comfortable, but one of the most beautiful aspects and beautiful things that we have done is in restoring the plaza restoring the building to its original design and improving the landscape and design of Johnson Street. Johnson Street now matches any place in downtown Santa Fe in its beauty. And I hope that the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, our neighbors across the street, are thrilled to have such a beautiful neighbor across the street. So thank you. And thank you to the entire team who worked so hard on that building. It's exciting to be able to move back in there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. And I absolutely agree with your comments and Commissioner Garcia's. I think it was a great job and a huge feat for us to get that building completed so quickly. I know that the buildings or the offices that are opening up in our other facility at Catron, I think that we're going to have HR moving into that to those offices. Is that correct, Catherine or Manager Miller?
Mr. Chair, yeah, so right now we actually have, like I'm in my office, but we have, and Daniel's in his office. We have just the manager's office and legal and the commissioners have moved in. The downstairs isn't ready for finance and HR to move in yet, but as soon as they have a few little things to do, and then finance, HR, purchasing, risk, they'll finish it up. And as I said, we'll be out of the Bochum building and we'll be out of the building on West Alameda, and all of the administrative offices will be downtown again. And the obviously we have public safety and public works, but it's pretty exciting. They did a great job. They still have some stuff to do, but it looks great.
Great. Thank you, Manager Miller. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next item, and this is item number
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Commissioner Garcia?
I just want to say in today's paper, the city of Santa Fe is like top 10 out of 358 municipalities throughout the nation. We're like, construction growth is great, awesome. And I sometimes as a policymaker and working for the government, you see a different perspective whenever you're a policymaker. And as Mr. Hughes will know, sometimes it's a hard job that we all do, and we do it. And I'm glad to be on the school board. I'm glad to be as a county commissioner and have a great team that works for us. And it's just, I just want to say, I'm glad that we're in Santa Fe County, city of Santa Fe, because we all live in this community together, and so we're dealing with some hard times, and we're doing good. And so I just appreciate our staff and everybody else under us and my colleagues as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Garcia. I'm going to go to item number C, and this is 5C, update on implementation of settlement agreements concerning county-maintained roads between Santa Fe County and the pueblos of Nambe, Poake, San Ildefonso, Tesuque. And from the attorney's office, we have our county attorney, Mr. Greg Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Also available to answer any questions that you might have on this item is the Public Works Department Director, Gary Harone. I'll state at the beginning that this is purely an informational item. The board's not being asked to make any decisions today. Rather, staff wanted to provide some information to the board and the public relative to the implementation of the 4 settlement agreements concerning county-maintained roads within the pueblos, of Nambe, Poake, San Ildefonso, and Tesuque. As the board is aware, the county entered into the settlement agreements with the pueblos and the Department of the Interior effective on April 12, 2018. By way of general overview relative to the settlement agreements, and Daniel Fresquez is sharing the memo that was uploaded earlier this afternoon to board docs so that you can follow along with some of my oral descriptions. But the settlement agreements basically come in 2 flavors. Under one, rights of way will be granted to the county by the Department of the Interior with the Pueblo's consent for the county maintained roads. And that applies to Pewaukee Pueblo and Tesuque Pueblo. Under the second flavor, rights of way will actually be granted to the Bureau of Indian Affairs by the Department of Interior concerning Pueblo land, and by the county for those sections of county maintained roads that cross private land. And the county maintained roads will become or be replaced by BIA roads that are maintained by the county pursuant to a road maintenance agreement. And that flavor would apply to Nambe Pueblo and San Ildefonso Pueblo. That is relevant as we go through some of the detail that follows. You'll see some specific references to the work that needs to be done in order to create BIA roads where they do not currently exist. The county, pursuant to a contract approved by the Board of County Commissioners, has entered into a contract with Precision Surveys, Inc. They are providing a lot of services relative to implementation of the settlement agreement, including performing necessary survey work, preparing meets and bounds, legal descriptions of each segment of the roads at issue. They're actually responsible for setting monuments and reference markers in the field relative to the rights of way, and preparing, subject to each Pueblo's ultimate approval, right-of-way applications that will be submitted to the Federal Department of Interior, requesting that the Department of Interior grant necessary rights of way to either Bureau of Indian Affairs or the county. So by way of general overview, and again, this isn't meant to be an exhaustive list, rather it's to provide the board and the public some general information as to where things stand with regard to each settlement agreement. We'll start with Nambe Pueblo. There, I would say it's fair to say that the necessary survey work and right-of-way applications are furthest along. In addition, while Precision has purchased all of the necessary materials to set the necessary markers, they've actually went ahead with the Pueblo's permission and has begun setting rebar with aluminum caps along the proposed rights of way. So again, that work is already happening in the field. With regard to the right-of-way applications themselves, a critical next step that will define how long will be needed to finalize the right-of-way applications is for the parties to the settlement agreement, that would be Nambe Pueblo, the county, and the Department of Interior, to determine what, if any, environmental and archaeological reports, surveys, and site assessments will be required for the rights of way for these existing roads. In addition, because these roads will ultimately be BIA roads maintained by the county, we will need to continue working with the parties, namely Nambe Pueblo and the federal government, on a road maintenance agreement, as well as a form of conveyance of county rights of way. Again, that's work that will need to happen in the future for that settlement agreement to be fully implemented. With regard to the settlement agreement with Pewaukee Pueblo, the necessary survey work is largely complete. Again, the contractor Precision has purchased, with our permission, the necessary monuments, concrete cylinders, angle irons, and other material necessary to mark the rights of way in the field. I would say that Pewaukee Pueblo is probably the Pueblo that's second furthest along relative to implementation of the settlement agreements. Once the survey work and legal descriptions are completed, then we will work with our contractor to finalize the draft right-of-way applications And again, those ultimately need to be approved by the Pueblo for submission to the Department of the Interior. Here again, a critical path item is to define what, if any, environmental and archaeological reports, surveys, and site assessments will need to be submitted in support of the right-of-way applications. With regard to Suque Pueblo, this is the settlement agreement with the smallest mileage of county-maintained road by far. And it's also the settlement agreement for different reasons that is probably furthest behind in terms of work in the field. And that is because our surveyor has identified problems with the Bureau of Land Management surveys in the area. Surveying is not my profession, but my understanding is that those issues need to be resolved by the Bureau of Land Management before Precision can move forward with its work. And so, again, pending resolution of those issues with the Bureau of Land Management, that field work has not moved forward in a material way. With regard to the settlement agreement with San Ildefonso, I wanted to just remind the board as well as the public that the settlement agreement with San Ildefonso breaks up the roads that are currently existing on the ground, so to speak, into those that will largely be replaced by a new road, Yellowbird Loop. And that road will largely replace county-maintained road 84C, 84D, and Sandy Way. And then separately, there are the other roads within Pueblo, county-maintained road 84, 84A, 84B, and northern segment of county-maintained road 101D, which are called the subject roads in the settlement agreement. So again, there are two different subcategories of county-maintained roads within San Ildefonso, those that will largely be replaced by Yellowbird Loop Road, and those that will remain more or less in their current configuration. I just want to ask Daniel Fresquez if he could please pull up Exhibit C to the settlement agreement that's attached to the memo. I put this up so that to remind the board and the public generally of what the layout will be of the two new roads. On the northern section of the map in yellow is the general outline of where Yellowbird Loop Road will be constructed. And then on the south side of the river, the blue line is the general outline of where Blue Dove Road will be constructed. So going back to the memo, the survey work for the new roads is largely complete. There are several areas of interest relative to access and other issues that require analysis and potential decisions. But the survey work is largely complete at this time. In addition, because these are new roads, the county has started the procurement process to obtain environmental services to do an environmental assessment that complies with relevant regulations for those new roads. That procurement is ongoing. Once all the necessary survey work is complete, then we'll be working with the Pueblo to finalize the right-of-way applications for the new road. Again, they have to be approved ultimately by the Pueblo, and then for submission to the Department of Interior. There are two things that county staff is working with the federal government and the Pueblo de San Ildefonso on to slightly modify what was contemplated in the original settlement agreement with San Ildefonso, and this would ultimately be coming back to the Board of County Commissioners in the form of a memorandum of understanding. That memorandum of understanding would primarily address the following issues. First, the settlement agreement contemplated that the driving surface for both roads would be base course. For long-term maintenance and drivability reasons, county staff recommends that this be changed to 4 inches of recycled asphalt pavement and a single layer of chip seal would be the ultimate driving surface for both roads. In addition, the Yellowbird Loop Road under the settlement agreement was contemplated that it would be constructed after utilities were installed, so that the utilities for the Milwaukee Basin Regional Water System would be installed first before the roads were constructed. County staff is actually recommending that Yellowbird Loop Road be constructed in 2 phases. Phase 1 would result in the road being used as a temporary driving surface, with the subgrade being the temporary driving surface. So in essence, as I understand it, we would roughly construct the road so that it would be in its ultimate alignment, but the driving surface after phase 1 would be the subgrade, meaning it would more or less, as I understand it, be a dirt road. We would do that so as to further the implementation of the settlement agreement, but there are also benefits to the Milwaukee Basin Regional Water System to that approach. In particular, the county would be doing a lot of the earthwork necessary for the water lines to be installed, and by proceeding in that manner, ultimately we think the water system will be built more expeditiously and cheaply, at least with regard to that section, if we do the earthwork necessary for the road prior to installation of the water line pipelines. After the utilities are installed, that's when phase 2 of the construction of Yellowbird Loop Road would occur. And that's again where we would bring the road up to its final driving surface, which is 4 inches of recycled asphalt pavement and a single layer of chip seal. Again, we recommend that we proceed in that manner for a variety of reasons. Principally, we want to move forward as quickly as we can to implement the settlement agreement relative to roads. And in addition, until the Congress approves the necessary amendments to the Amendment Settlement Agreement, the timing of the regional water system construction is uncertain. So again, that's the basis for that recommendation, which would be coming forward to the board in a formal memorandum of understanding. And with regard to the construction-related changes that I just described, county has already contracted with the engineer of record for Yellowbird Loop Road to change the construction drawings as described, and we're in the process of trying to contract with the engineer of record for Blue Dove Road to make changes to the construction plan set. So with regard to the subject roads, as by way of general update, again, these would be the roads that would more or less remain in their current location is the expectation. Much of the survey work has been completed. There is a fair amount of work that remains to be done along County Maintained Road 84 in terms of boundary reconciliations, is my understanding. And once all the necessary field work has been completed by precision surveys, then the draft right-of-way applications would have to be finalized and approved by the Pueblo. relative to these being BIA roads, we would need to negotiate a road maintenance agreement for all of the roads, as well as finalize a conveyance document whereby the county would convey its right-of-ways for subject roads to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Unlike the other settlement agreements, the settlement agreement with San Ildefonso contemplated that there would be several interim permits issued by the Pueblo of San Ildefonso. 3 of them are expressly called out in the settlement agreement. That's a temporary public road permit for county maintained road 84C, 84D, and Sandy Way, as well as temporary public road access authorizations on a global basis for private landowners, as well as for individual private landowners. And then finally, county staff has also requested that the Pueblo grant to the county a maintenance permit for the subject roads. So we've attached those draft agreements. They're just that, draft at this point, and would ultimately have to be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. They are attached to this memo in board docs, and I don't intend, unless folks would like me to in this meeting, to go through them in detail or even generally, insofar as they will be coming back to the board at a future meeting for discussion and approval. I would close by noting that county staff intends to engage in a variety of public outreach, given the progress that has been made to date on implementing the settlement agreements, as well as some upcoming milestones, and in particular, potential construction of Yellowbird Loop in 2021. We feel that now is a good time for the county to engage the public relative to various aspects of the settlement agreements, just to remind them what was agreed to by the board back in 2018, as well as upcoming steps, including on the temporary permits that I alluded to above. County staff viewed this informational item to the board as a first step in that necessary outreach. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. But again, the purpose of this presentation was to provide a general update as to where things stood and the road ahead. And again, this is informational only. No action is being requested or direction by the board at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Schaefer. I do want to just make sure that our Public Works Director, Mr. Gary Hiron, did you have anything else that you wanted to add, sir?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, first of all, Greg, thank you for putting this all together. We have been meeting weekly. We've set up a committee so that we can stay ahead of all of the changes and all the things that have to happen to make sure all these agreements get signed. And we are actively talking about how we will engage smaller communities of folks to tell them how this will impact them, and are starting to have some of those discussions and planning that now. And with that, we'll stand for any questions. I have Ryan Ward here, the division director, and Diego Gomez, the engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Hiron, or Director Hiron. I'm going to go out to commissioners if you have any questions or comments. Commissioner Hamilton?
Sorry, no, I think it's good to have informed both us and the public of status, but I really appreciate that we're trying to move this forward as expeditiously as is reasonable. I guess I do have one. It's a very small question on the holdup with Tesuque Pueblo. Do you have any insights on how the process with BLM would proceed?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hamilton, that is very much
BIA, whatever.
survey related heavy lifting. And so the principal of our contractor, Larry Madrano, has been attempting to get those issues resolved in consultation with the Pueblo, but with the Bureau of Land Management. And so he's actively working the issue. And I believe they've had some staffing challenges as well as move related issues, but it's really Larry is the lead oar on that, trying to coordinate at the surveyor to surveyor level, so to speak.
Right. That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Commissioner Garcia?
No, Mr. Chairman, no comments. Just once again, thanks staff for, as Marcos Chiriu used to say, ex-commissioner, this is like monumental as into moving forward, but thank you, staff. Thank you, Greg.
Garcia. Commissioner Hansen?
Thank you, Greg, for the presentation and reminding us of all the agreements and issues that we're working on, especially with Blue Dove and Yellow Tail Loop. I hope I have that right. I was also curious about what's going on with BLM and the problems at Tasuki, but and thank you for your clearing or mentioning that, Commissioner Hamilton. I appreciate that question. So just good job. Thank you. This is an important thing to move forward. It is definitely a monumental process to get the Amit settlement and the road settlement agreement done. And I think we are serving our community very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hansen. Commissioner Hughes?
I think I probably have so many questions that I would not know where to start, but I think what I'm going to do is read the materials, and if the staff have any background materials they want to send me on this, that would be great, so that I can be prepared for the next meeting. But I do know that it's important for us to be moving ahead with these projects, and I want to understand them as best I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. And if you have any additional questions, you can feel free to call me as well. Thank you, sir.
And
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, on that score, if it would be acceptable to you, Commissioner Hughes, staff would be pleased to schedule a WebEx meeting with you in particular, since you were not here at the time that these settlement agreements were approved and are somewhat new to these detailed discussions. We'd be happy to do that if you would like, Commissioner.
I think that would be a great idea, just to give them the history.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Let's set up a time for the staff to explain this all to me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you again, Greg, for the presentation and the update. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next agenda item. And actually, I think what I want to do is deviate just slightly from our schedule, and I want to bring up our the actual resolution that we have for the food depot. I believe that we do have our two speakers that are here present, Miss Linda Flatt and Jane Freeman. So I want to move that up to our next agenda item, so that I know that they're very busy as well, and so I'd like to move that up so that we can get that taken care of. And so I'm going to go ahead and move up item number 7C, or actually 8C, and I'm going to go to Commissioner Hansen or Commissioner Hamilton. I'm not sure who's going to be speaking on this resolution. And thank you guys for bringing this forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I I have sponsored this resolution for the last 4 years, since 2017, 18, 19, I think that's 4 years, for the last 4 years. And I think this is a really important thing that we can do for our community right now, especially during this really, this time of the pandemic, and how important and how necessary food is in the community, and how many people we have with food insecurity. So I asked Commissioner Hamilton to join me because she also, I believe she cares deeply about this and this issue. And I think that we have a number of speakers who want to talk about the fact that that this has changed from a food drive to a fund drive, and that we're collecting. But I believe all of us live in neighborhoods or communities that have participated in the food neighbor to neighbor food drive in the past, and are doing our best. And I am grateful to all of Santa Fe County employees who have also participated over the years. Last year, and I believe the year before, in our competition with the city, we have won. So I hope we will win again in our class. And with that, I want to let Commissioner Hamilton say a few words, please.
Thank you, and thank Commissioner Hanson. I mean, it's been fabulous that you bring forward this resolution every year. I think most of us on the commission have been really active. I certainly have tried to be in helping the neighbor to neighbor food drive do this and expand their efforts every year. What they do is amazing. I'm willing to bet, as much as it's been appreciated deeply, what they contribute to the Food Depot now in the very stressed times, the realization of how valuable this is to our community is just that much more evident. And so I think, supporting this year in particular is really important to our community, and look forward to what Linda and Jane and Teresa have to say.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hamilton and Commissioner Hanson. I know that this has been a great value over the years, and it's something that's really important to the neighborhood. I mean, I think I sponsored it a couple of years in the years prior to Commissioner Hanson, and I know that we've had some food drives and actually some community sort of parties that they'd have where they'd had bands and things like that, where they donated food and funding. So, it's just something that you really see a lot of people that are interested in, because, we still have kids that go to bed hungry. So I really appreciate you bringing this forward. So I'm going to go ahead and go to some of the guest speakers. And I don't know if we have a volunteer or not, but I'm going to go to Miss Linda Flatt first.
I know Linda is on. I saw her. Okay.
This is Jane Freeman. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Freeman, go ahead.
Linda is having technical difficulty with her computer, and she is just texted me, and she's very bummed that she may not be able to talk with you today. So we'll go ahead and get started, and hopefully she can join us. But I want to thank you all commissioners for being so supportive of the neighbor to neighbor each year, and for your support in the resolution. I know you are very concerned about your constituents, and we are here to support your constituents through this drive, as well as through the Food Depot. As you probably know, this year has been, this year has been unprecedented with the COVID and how it's affected so many people. You may know that the Food Depot has been distributing almost 1 million pounds of food a month since March, and the need, I think, is going to continue to grow. We are the only fund drive or food drive that the Food Depot will be having due to COVID, and that's why we decided to move forward with this and have it as a fund drive only. This is very new to us, and because we're used to seeing more tangible things in terms of the actual food. But as you know, every dollar that's donated can purchase 5 pounds of food or deliver 4 meals. So the Food Depot is able to buy in bulk, and that dollar goes much farther. So your support and getting the word out to your constituents and the communities is vital and has been appreciated over the years. Our goal this year is to raise about $75,000. That seems very daunting, but we are seeing movement, and communities are stepping up, and it's very exciting. So we'll keep you posted as far as what actually comes in. You can go online to the webpage of the Food Depot, thefooddepot.org/end-to-end, and donate there. Look for your community and then donate, or you can send a check into the Food Depot. The deadline for getting the monies into the Food Depot is September 19th. Hopefully it'll be before that, as we want to make sure that every penny is counted. And Therese, are you on? Can you hear me? Oh boy.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, do you all have any questions for us?
Okay, well, let me go to commissioners. Are there any questions? Commissioner Hamilton, did you have any questions?
No, other than to, first of all, to thank you all for doing this again and again. I thought I'd mention to the commissioners that, every way we can possibly advertise this is really beneficial. And since we all put out newsletters, we might all consider putting this in our newsletters. I think most of us do think about doing things like this as a public service in information that our constituents would want to see in the newsletter. So every way we can think to get the word out on this. And Jane, since Linda, except that we're not hearing from her, unfortunately, if you have any other ideas like that, the resolution goes a long way toward making something known, but I think you sometimes have to reach people on a one at a time basis, and to some extent the individual commissioner communications can help with that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Commissioner Garcia?
Yes, Mr. Chair. First of all, thank you, Food Depot, and for yourself and the volunteers of what you guys do. Great job. Awesome job. And especially for the community of Santa Fe, City of Santa Fe. Everybody lives in this community. We have a great community here. Awesome. Great job. And for the volunteers that y'all deal with, thank them. I appreciate that. Today I actually followed a school bus today. And the school bus was going through some neighborhoods in my district here, and they were actually giving out food out of the back of the school bus. And I think it's a good communication thing that this whole community, we're a good community. We all live here, and it was interesting to see the school bus drivers giving out food to people in my district. People in my district they need some help, and we're here to help. And you guys are doing an excellent job. I appreciate that. You have people like Pam Roy from Food to Table. She's very involved in the community. Great job. just maybe we can somehow create like a pledge. Like, let's put a pledge in there together. I don't know if we can do this, Catherine, on the internet, as into let's donate some money, just donate some money for a pledge and so on and so forth. But thank you for what you do. I really appreciate you. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Hanson?
I just want to recognize the years of work that Linda Flatt has worked on this since 2011. She has continued to work nonstop on this neighborhood to neighborhood food drive. And I want to honor her for that and honor the volunteers, Jane and Teresa and the whole crew at the Food Depot, and Shelley Hooper for all the work that she does there. We have a really strong community, and we're incredibly generous. And my neighborhood last year in its class, Casa Alegre, won first prize for donating the most. And most of the money was donated online. And so one of the things that I do in my neighborhood is that I send out information on Nextdoor. And I find that a really good way to communicate. Like, you just make a post. Linda's very happy to share all the information with you of how to donate. And so sending it out on Nextdoor is a really good way to reach a lot of your neighbors. The other thing is, as Commissioner Hamilton, it was in my August newsletter, and putting it in our county newsletters is a really good thing. I believe it was also in our sustainability newsletter. You know, so the more people we can reach, that is what's really important, because every dollar counts. So if you donate $10, you're donating a lot of food and to feed a lot of people. And the more you can donate, the better. Anyhow, I'm grateful to Linda and to Jane and Teresa and everybody at the Food Depot for all of the work that you do, especially during this pandemic. It is such a challenging time where we are seeing so much food insecurity. So thank you once again. And I would like to, with that, to move resolution supporting the 9th annual Neighbor to Neighbor Fund Drive in coordination with the Food Depot forward. And I'm sure we'll be back here again next year doing this, because it is really important.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson and Commissioner Hamilton, for the motion and the second. I'm going to go to Commissioner Hughes. I believe that he was next. But we do have a motion and a second. So under discussion, Commissioner Hughes, did you have comments or questions?
Well, just real quick, I think this is a great project. I know the Food Depot does a good job. And so I'll put this in my first newsletter, which I'm putting together, and also Nextdoor El Dorado. A lot of people read that. So I think it's great if we can really help out. I just want to add, I think Santa Fe County is a very caring community. And that's one of the nice things about living here. And so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I'm going to go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Garcia?
Mr. Chair, I vote yes. And just really quick, for Commissioner Hughes knows he's dealt with this for many, many years. And Mrs. Jane Freeman, if you can actually give us your webpage address, now that we have 10,000 people watching us. So if you can actually give us your webpage address, yes, I appreciate that. Yes, Mr. Chair.
That's 10,000 and change. So if we can even, is there a way for Daniel to post where people can actually make donations on the screen?
And also, Daniel could put it on his Facebook page, his Facebook posts, once we pass this resolution, and get it out into the community that way also.
Daniel is our media guru, and we are grateful for all his work. Thank you, Daniel Francis.
Commissioner Hanson, how do you vote?
Yes, I vote yes.
Okay, Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes?
Yes.
And a yes from Commissioner Roybal. This item passes unanimously. And so we'll work on trying to get that information out to the public through our Facebook. And I think we can also send it out to our email list that I think each commissioner has, and plus the county has one for each district as well. Okay, so this item passes unanimously. Thanks again to all the hard work that we have put in from Miss Linda Flatt and everybody that works very hard. It takes a whole army of people to do the work that they are doing. I think it's really great. I know Linda Flatt and Miss Jane Freeman have been doing this for some time. I know I went to the Food Depot a few years ago, and it's just the setup they have is really remarkable. So just to imagine how much food they do get out is incredible. So thanks a lot and congratulations. You have a good rest of your afternoon. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to go back to item number 7. This is a public hearing on adoption of infrastructure capital improvement plan. 7A is a presentation and public hearing on Santa Fe County Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan, ICIP. Second of 2 public hearings, and from Growth Management, we have Mr. Paul Olofson and Jacob Stock.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Paul Olofson. And Jacob is also with us here today. I'm going to give a brief presentation and then ask for the public comment section on this. And then after we're completed with that, I will ask for the board to consider adopting the resolution, which would then adopt the project list. So before you and on the screen from Daniel is the current project list. You'll see the top 5 projects are highlighted in a slightly different color, and those are the projects that staff has reviewed and evaluated and recommended for ranking. And it's ranked the top rated project per commission district. So each district has one, and that's how we came to that. As I told you at the last hearing, the staff has evaluated every project, and this represents the remaining projects from the 5-year CIP, Capital Improvement Plan, that the county holds internally. And these are the projects that are remaining that have not had identified funding sources. So we reviewed them, we've ranked them, and then we've evaluated them and put them on the list. We have 32 projects. The last 2 projects on the sheet are senior ICIP projects. Those will be brought to you, I believe, at the next meeting under a separate resolution. But we wanted to note that they are part of the total capital planning process, and they are included in this as a presentation item. So we don't know how much capital funding the state will have this year. It's anticipated that due to the economic slowdown and the pandemic, there will probably not be a huge amount, but that remains to be seen. Staff has reviewed these projects and evaluated them, as I said before. We also conducted 2 public web meetings in July 21st and 29th, to solicit public input. And we also reached out to our nonprofit and other agencies that have in the past asked the county to become a fiscal agent for a capital project. And we did reach out to them and ask them if they had any requests for this year's, with the idea that we'd like to have all of the county's requests in one place at one time and not have to scramble towards the end of the year just before this legislative session for projects that might be proposed. We looked at project readiness, phasing, enhancing existing facilities, leveraging existing funding, addressing immediate needs related to public health, safety, and welfare, staff capacity to initiate and implement projects in a timely manner, and the probability of the limited state funds in our evaluation process. We also consider this county's 4 strategic pillars and the strategic goals that the commission has established when we're reviewing the projects. Before you use the list, I did email this out to you all prior to the meeting, so I hope you've had some time to look it over. And again, we're going to ask you to rank the top 5 projects as well as adopt a resolution. So with that, I would stand for any questions or for the public comment period.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Roybal. So to move on, Paul, I'm as vice chair, I'm going to.
Sorry about that.
Are you coming? Oh, yay.
I'm back. I actually, for some reason, the bottom of my screen wasn't coming up so I could unmute. But anyways, thank you, Mr. Olafson, for that presentation. I'm going to go to the different commissioners. Commissioner Hansen? Did you have any questions?
I have looked over this ICIP that we will submit to DFA, and I want people to understand that this is not all of the list of all of our projects or all the things that we're working on, but that this is our ICIP that will be submitted to DFA. And I accept for my top 5, the Agua Fria sewer expansion. I also know that the sidewalk repair at Camino Jojobo is a really important issue for the residents in that area. And I see that it's ranked pretty high, and I'm glad that it's right up there so that, we can work on providing sidewalks throughout our community. And that's all I have to say. I think this is a good list. Thank you, Paul, and everyone for your hard work on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Hansen. And that's a very good point to bring forward. And I know it's something that you have asked about in the past as far as certain projects that aren't listed on here. And you're absolutely right that just because they're not here doesn't mean it's not something that the county is currently working on. So thank you for bringing that point up. Commissioner Hamilton?
No, it's a very good list. Can you hear me?
Commissioner Hamilton, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It was the process is really well done at this point. I think we still have some growing pains with the implementation of the process, just because the rankings are new, and but I appreciate that we're trying to move forward with that, and I'm very happy with the outcome. It is true, the point that Commissioner Hansen made and Chair Roybal spoke to is very true. There are other processes that include projects that are important to the county, but I support this list and the top 5 as they're presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Commissioner Garcia?
Yes, I'm just wondering why all of my projects are top 5.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Garcia. So
I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that. So really quick, Paul, did you actually, Mr. Chair, Paul, did you actually reach out to the legislators and make sure that, because sometimes we get projects from capital outlay projects that aren't on our list. So did you reach out to the state legislators at the Roundhouse?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Garcia, we have not reached out to them. The idea was that we would compile this list and then bring it to them and say, here's how we did our outreach, here's who we spoke with, and here's the projects that we've developed.
Thank you. Great job. No more questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. We got Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple questions. Well, basically, I'm happy with this list, and I think all these projects look very important, and I want to thank the staff for sending me the details on the projects in my district so I could understand what they were. My question is, an earlier version of this list had the Rancho Viejo tank improvements ranked above El Dorado Station 4, and I just wondered what the process was where that got switched. I mean, they're both important projects. I'm just curious why it changed.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hughes, so we did the evaluation process, and when we did the first round of evaluation, that project had not fully been scoped yet, the El Dorado Station 4, so we didn't have a price tag and we didn't have a clear description of the work. Once it was clearly scoped and clarified what the project would be, the committee then did the evaluation that we do for all projects, and the ranking of that project put it above the Rancho Viejo. But again, the top 5 is kind of, it's required by DFA, but it does not give a project more weight or less weight. So any project on the list has an equal weight for inclusion of or consideration of capital funding.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That explains that. And my other question is, because I think this, this process of trying to fund capital projects in the county is very, very important and, a big responsibility that we should take seriously. And I know that, the state may not be able to fund very much, if anything, this year. So I was just curious when we next will be looking at this list, with a chance at funding it in different ways. And I don't expect a long answer. I just sort of wanted to know what's coming up. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, we do have a process that was adopted last year, and we can, again, meet with you offline and give you a little better understanding of that process, but we do plan to be bringing a capital plan forward twice a year for the board to review. So that might not be the funding point, but we will continually be providing you with updates and windows or, visions of where we're headed.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, those of you who know me, I know that I would want to be seeing, in the future, more affordable housing projects on this list. But thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. And so I know this is a public hearing, so I want to see if there's anybody from the public that would like to address the board relative to this item. Ms. Mascareñas, do we have somebody from the public?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have David Sundberg who signed up to speak.
Okay, Mr. Sundberg, you have the floor, sir.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and board. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I sent you all individually a letter supporting one of the items that's actually at the very bottom of this list. It's item 32. It's looking for a preliminary engineer's report at the La Bajada Ranch. And understandable that it's reached the bottom because I don't think there's a huge amount of clarification behind it. So I wanted to join you today to put a little clarification why it's on the list and how important it is. There's been some just amazing things I've been able to listen to today regarding food security or insecurity, looking at housing, looking at infrastructure and what are priorities in the county. The reason why I think that this really should rank much higher in terms of prioritization within the county is because there's this amazing property that was purchased 12 years ago, and it can really factor into a great number of things that the county has signed on for. In 2014, starting with the food plan, signing on to prioritization of a great number of food efforts to really engender sustainability and food security within our community. Into 2015 and 16 with the sustainability plan and the farm and agricultural overlays and support of those plans. And then also in 2016 with the La Cienega and La Cienega community plans, which do support for farming and agricultural processes, as well as sustainability and the potential for safe and affordable housing in the community. This property can really align with all of those aspects. But one of the first steps is that we really need to make sure where we can build, how we can build, what the overlays would look like, having access to the property, and getting some infrastructure there. Currently, on the north end of the property, where some of these things are possible, because it's the best access point to infrastructure in the from that exists in terms of water lines, electrical, and road access. At the north end of the property, it's approximately half a mile with right-of-ways through DOT property to access really a good number of acreage that can support and sustain infrastructure to build a food hub, which is a priority that I'm very interested in doing, that can provide better access to local sustainable foods for our community. It can provide access to basically an idea of multiplying factors of having agriculture on the property in conjunction with a processing facility and other really great supported ideas that are supported within the county, within the community, but I think need to now be supported in a more tangible way. So I would certainly ask the board respectfully to support item 32, the preliminary engineers report, which will be really the first step in kicking off any progress or any processes to develop the land for use in sustainability, agriculture, and food systems within our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sundberg, and thank you for that information. I think this is probably in Commissioner Garcia's district. So Joe, I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to add, Commissioner Garcia?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Sundberg, can you actually email me and we can sit down and talk about this stuff?
I would be more than happy to. Thank you.
So my assistant is AA Baca.
At SantaFeCountyMM.gov.
I would love to sit down with you and talk about this whole process so we can educate each other. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia and Mr. Sundberg, for being here today. I appreciate the information. Commissioner Hansen, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I did. Thank you, David, so much for bringing this forward. I think this is really important, but this is also a county-wide project. And I think it is really important to continue to remember that this is county-wide. I know that Reunity Resource in my district is also working on this commonage project out at La Bahara Ranch. And so I see this as a food hub for not just District 3, but for all of Santa Fe County, to start to connect throughout the community. So I really appreciate you being here and your dedication to this project. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hansen. And yes, it is a county-wide project, but it is specifically in Commissioner Garcia's district. So I appreciate you relaying that information, that it would be a county-wide project that would definitely benefit the county as a whole. Okay, so thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to address the commission? Tessa Jo?
No, sir. No one else has signed up for public comment.
Okay, so if you can unmute just for a moment, and so I can ask to see if there's anybody from the public that would like to address the board relative to this item.
Everyone is unmuted.
Okay, is there anybody from the public that would like to address the board relative to this item?
Talk through the different.
Doesn't sound like there is, so I'm going to go to close public. Okay, so I don't think this is the second public comment, but this still isn't for us to. Is this for us to approve at this point at this time, or would it come back? So it is the second of two. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, we have a resolution on item B to adopt the projects that are listed in the ICIP and set the top 5 priorities.
Okay, thank you, Manager Miller.
Thank
so
you.
We're on to item number 7B, and this is a resolution adopting projects for the inclusion in the Santa Fe County's infrastructure capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2022 through 2026, authorizing submittal of the plan to the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration and replacing Resolution 2019-108. And from the Growth Management Department, we once again have Mr. Paul Olofson and Jacob Stockton. I don't know that there's anything else to present on this item, so, but Manager Miller, is that would be, we would just bring this forward for a vote now that we've already discussed it, correct?
Mr. Chair, move for approval.
We have a motion from Commissioner Garcia.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Hansen. I'm going to go to a roll call vote.
That was Hamilton.
Oh, Hamilton. Sorry about that. And so.
No worries.
So we have a second from Commissioner Hamilton. Commissioner Hansen?
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
And a yes from Commissioner Roybal. So this item passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioners.
Chair Roybal.
Yes, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Chair Roybal, I would like to backtrack a little bit back to 8C and for the record issue resolution number 2020-62. In addition to this, I would like to also issue a resolution number for the resolution you just passed, which is 2020-63. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, so that brings us to our next item on the agenda, and this is 8A, and this is Commissioner issues, comments, including but not limited to constituent concerns, recognitions, and requests for updates on future presentations. So I'm going to go to Commissioner Hansen first.
You're muted, Commissioner Hansen.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I just want to thank the staff and team and everybody, Tessa and Paul and Jacob and Daniel for giving us a tour of the 102 Grant Street building. It was really good to get in there. I'm looking forward to seeing the chambers when they're finished. I just want to recognize staff for all the hard work that they have been doing during this pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all of us. Even, you know, like these meetings, not everyone has good connectivity. And it is a problem that we really need to all be working on is better broadband and for everyone. And these meetings highlight the issues that we are facing with being connected in this format. And I'm sure that there are children out there that are having a hard time getting connected to schools and getting their homework done or getting their classes taken. So working on broadband to me it has been important since I was elected and continues to be important. And I see that this pandemic has just brought things to the surface. So that's really all I had to share at the moment that I can think of. I might have another comment in a moment after another commissioner or two, but thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you everybody for all the work that you are doing during this pandemic because I just find that we're all really working very hard to make our county work as well as possible. And once again, thank you, Catherine and Rachel and Community Service and Growth Management and everybody and Community Service. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. I'm going to go to Commissioner Hamilton.
No, I have no particular topics to bring up this afternoon. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. Commissioner Garcia.
I would just like to thank Mr. Chair. I'd just like to thank everybody for what they do, obviously. And once again, please fill out your census information. It's very important to the state of New Mexico and Santa Fe County and the entire state, the entire country. So please do that, community. And I would actually like to thank Commissioner Hank Hughes for coming aboard. You know, 3 years ago, my hair was black. And now my hair is white, I think so, or gray. I don't know what it is. However, so your hair might turn gray or white, so in the next year or two. So, but welcome aboard. Appreciate that. And you have some great knowledge as into the housing, homeless shelters, kids shelters, but welcome aboard, and I appreciate that. And thank you once again, Catherine, and your staff. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Hughes?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I just wanted to thank everybody for being so welcoming to me. As you know, I had planned to have until January 1st to learn how the county worked. And due to Commissioner Moreno's early retirement, I had to, step into the seat a bit early. So I'm learning on the job. But everybody from Olivia Romo, the liaison for District 5, on up and down the line in the county has been very welcoming and helpful. And I really, really appreciate that. And Commissioner Garcia, most of my hair is already white, but I guess the rest of it may still turn gray in the next 4 years. We'll see. My intention, just so people know, is, and I'm glad that people have offered individual meetings with me, and I'm going to try and do that with a lot of the key people at the county, so that I really know everything that's going on, so I can be supportive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. And I couldn't ditto those same sentiments. Welcome aboard. We look forward to working with you. And I also want to just touch on what Commissioner Garcia mentioned as well, is just reminding everybody to fill out their census. It's not going to take very long to get it done, and it's really something that's really a positive impact on the state of New Mexico. So I just encourage everybody to talk to neighbors and friends and family and get everybody that you know to fill in this census. It's going to make a huge difference for the state of New Mexico. So thank you very much, and thank you, commissioners. We do have item number 8B
Mr. Chair, if I may,
next.
Mr. Chair, if I may, real quick.
Commissioner Garcia.
When I used to go to the boys club a long time ago, I used to see the elders jumping off the diving board and doing this and that. And say, one day I was standing by the swimming pool. He said, "You want to learn how to swim?" I said, "Sure." So they pushed me in there, learn how to swim. So, Mr. Commissioner Hughes, welcome. We're going to learn how to swim together. It's all good. Welcome aboard. Appreciate you being on the board. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 7 or 8B, and this is other elected officials' issues and comments, including but not limited to constituent concerns, recognitions, and request updates for future presentations. And I'm going to go. I know that we have our distinguished county clerk here, Miss Clerk Geraldine Salazar.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board. The county clerk's office has 3 divisions: the recording division, the records division, the elections bureau. We have many statutory responsibilities. Our office continues to conduct our public services in the interest of the public. Because of COVID-19, we have had to adjust our operations to meet all of our statutory responsibilities. The 2020 elections, meaning the primary, we finished, and now we're gearing up for the general, have proven to be very challenging, and we are working very hard to meet our mission to conduct free, fair, unbiased and secure elections. It is the responsibility of the county clerk to determine the methods, means, and personnel by which the county clerk's office's operations are to be conducted. We manage our responsibilities with a team model to meet all of our election and office responsibilities. Elections carry an awesome responsibility in general. The 2020 election cycles have proven to be even more so. And more than ever, it is the responsibility of the county clerk to ensure that nothing interferes with the operations of the county clerk's office, be it politics, cybersecurity, electioneering, etc. Thank you to my staff, the BCC, and county management with the continued work and assistance to ensure that the county clerk's office conducts free, fair, unbiased, and secure elections. The 2020 general election is less than 2 months away. I encourage all qualified voters to vote and make your voices heard. Thank you. There are many challenges. The county clerk and her staff are up to those challenges. Thank you again.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We appreciate it. Are there any other elected officials that would like to make announcements to their constituents?
Mr. Chair, it doesn't look like any others have signed on.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mascareñas. Okay, so right now we're on, it looks like we don't have anything under matters from the county attorney, so we're really.
Mr. Chair, if I could, this is Greg Schaefer, County Attorney speaking, and while we don't have any specific items under matters from the county attorney, I did want to address a housekeeping item from our last meeting on August 25. Namely, at its August 25th, 2020 meeting, the Board of County Commissioners went into executive session at the end of the meeting and did not reconvene in open session. So I would therefore respectfully request that the minutes of this meeting reflect that the matters discussed during the August 25th, 2020 executive session were limited only to those specified in the motion for closure. So I'm going to forward this statement to Wordsworth for inclusion in the meeting minutes for this meeting. And when the board acts on those minutes, it will be approving that statement as to substance. So I'd stand for any questions, but I did want to get that into the record as a housekeeping item. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Schaefer. We appreciate you doing that, sir. So we're on item number 10, and this is concluding business. 10A is announcements. If there's not any other announcements, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Hanson?
I just wanted to share the website for the Neighbor to Neighbor Food Drive, which is thefooddepot.org, or you could mail a check to the Food Depot Neighbor to Neighbor Fund Drive at 122A Seiler Road, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87507. And a huge thanks from Linda and her team to all of us for everything that we're doing. So once again, it's the fooddepot.org and then /N2N, neighbor to neighbor. So I just wanted to share that because she just sent that to me and get that out into the public. And I can share that with Daniel also. Thank you.
Okay, that is great. Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Okay, any other concluding business?
Mr. Chair, motion for adjournment.
We have a motion from Commissioner Garcia. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Hamilton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 You guys have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.